All right, welcome everybody to the CJ Curry Show. It's your host, CJ Curry. This show is presented by PrizePicks. Shout out to my sponsors over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is making daily fantasy sports easy by making you some money. Up to 25 times your money by selecting your favorite superstars from your favorite sports. Combine 2, 3, 4, 5, even up to 6 different players and get that 25x payout. All right? Big things happening over at PrizePicks. If you're not playing on PrizePicks yet, promo code Curry, 100% instant deposit match on your first deposit. Meaning if you've never put any money in, if you've never signed up and used PrizePicks before, promo code Curry, where it's going to get you double your dollars. You put in up to $100, they're going to give you $100. Making your first entry on PrizePicks risk-free. It's on the house. Free money? Who doesn't like free money? Raise your hand if you don't like free money. Anyway, guys, go sign up for PrizePicks. I've left a link down in the description below. Thank you so much for everybody who's joining me. Yesterday was fun. We had ourselves a 3 o'clock game over in Paris. Chicago Bulls, Detroit Pistons ended up being a highly entertaining game, unless your name is Killian Hayes. And then, of course, you had yourself a disaster of a game in front of your home crowd. You guys sold me on the Killian Hayes narrative. You said, hey, Killian Hayes, he's a French player. He's playing in France. He's going to have himself a good game. I looked at some Killian Hayes props, didn't really find any that I liked, so I settled for him making one free throw, and oh my, couldn't get to the free throw line. Wasn't even really looking to get to the free throw line. I think he shot like 3 for 15 from the field. You would figure after the first, 10 shots or so aren't really going down for you, that you'd put your head down, you'd try to get to the basket, but no, Killian Hayes doesn't have that dog in him. He doesn't have that instinct in him to where things aren't going right. I can't seem to find my shot. Let me attack the basket. No. He wasn't interested in doing that. Killian Hayes did not play a good game yesterday. He did not make one free throw. Although I will say this, thanks to your help, thanks to you guys, we ended up making 5 out of 6 picks work for us. DeMar DeRozan over rebounds and assists ended up coming through. We had Vucevic, Levine, Bogdanovich all over fantasy score. And shout out to Everyday Fantasy coming through. He mentioned Jaden Ivey over 2.5 turnovers, and that one ended up hitting as well. So if you took those 5 plays, you probably made some money. I saw a number of people out there who tailed those 5 picks. Some of you guys went with Killian Hayes in the free throw make. Some of you didn't. The ones that didn't probably made more money than the ones that did. But anyway, yesterday was a pretty successful day. That was really fun, being able to kind of craft an entry with you guys, put something together that ended up being profitable, put more money in our pockets. So shout out to everybody who was a part of that yesterday. Great show yesterday. A lot of fun doing that, guys. Doing that with you guys, excuse me. Let's run through the chat real quick. Milan George says it's Free Space Friday. That's right. In case you haven't heard, there was a free square that PrizePicks put up last night. Let's address the elephant in the room while we're here, shall we? They had a 15-minute timer on a Joel Embiid free square. Didn't go so well. They ran into some technical issues, some technical difficulties. Basically, their servers got flooded with people trying to get a hold of this free square, the Joel Embiid points free square, that is. Not everybody got it. I was one of the fortunate ones that was able to finally lock in an entry after multiple attempts. People were getting kicked out of the app. It was a fiasco. It was a whole thing. But PrizePicks, like they normally do, came through clutch. They said, hey, we realized that yesterday's free square did not go off so well. We're going to run another free square and make it up to you guys. And they have done so, making Luka Doncic a free square today, meaning you could put up to $20 on Luka Doncic at just 0.5 points, meaning all he has to do is score at least 1 point, and you have won on that pick. So you could parlay that with another pick for a 2-pick power play. You can swing for the fences, being that it's Flex Friday, and your first flex entry up to $20 is completely risk-free. So you could do that too. You could go for the 25x payout. Basically, with that Luka Doncic free square, you could put that in a 6-pick flex play. And since it's a free square and it's almost guaranteed to hit, instead of you having to get 6 out of 6 right for the 25x, you're really only going to have to get 5 out of 5 right for the 25x, being that Luka Doncic free square can be used in your Flex Friday promo as well. So shout out to PrizePicks. They really came through big. They made up for what was a disaster of a night last night. You got to love it, man, when a company takes ownership and accountability over, things not going so well, technical difficulties, whatever the case may be. They made it up to us big. So I got to give credit where credit is due, all right? So shout out to PrizePicks. Anyway, Free Space Friday, Milan. You are absolutely right about that. Chris Alvarez says, let's make some money. Accolade is in the building. Shout out to Accolade. No limit. Flex Friday. That's right. Throw your muscles up for Flex Friday. Zach Gill's in the building. Money Making Friday. I like that. I like that. Carson's in the building. Shout out to Carson. Thanks for being back with me again today, Carson. I appreciate you. Robert's in the building. Let's make it happen. Jeff's in the building. What's crack-a-lacking to you, Jeff? We've got T-Bone. The chef is dropping some gems. It's up to us to make the right combinations. Ya dig. Ya dig. Everyday Fantasy says, what it do, fam? Still on a roll. Shout out to the chef and Patreon. Hit that like, too. That's our guy, Don P. For those of you who have joined Patreon and are in the Discord, that's Don P, in case you didn't know. Everyday Fantasy, a.k.a. Don P. Don P's always lacing us with some nice little picks. Appreciate the super chat yesterday with that pick of Jaden Ivey over 2.5 turnovers. Ricky Carroll, shout out to you. Thanks for being here. Isaiah, we live and in living color. You're absolutely right about that, my friend. Neville, shout out to you. Got to get you your free 2-pick power play to win $100 over on PrizePicks. Dave Gutierrez says he had a huge night, 6-pick flex and 2 3-pick powers. Friday, it's Money Making Friday. Let's go. Today I got Jalen Williams over 1.5 blocks and steals. All right, we'll take a look at that. Ryan T, what's up to you? We got Isaiah here. We got MIA or Mia, Straw Hat. Hayes, never again. You're absolutely right. Carolina Kid says it's always Ivy turnovers, not assists. That's right. That's right. It was. We had a little bit of a debate, a little bit of a dilemma yesterday. We couldn't decide at first. First, we were going to take Jaden Ivey over assists, but then we decided to pivot over to those turnovers because Everyday Fantasy put us on it. So thank you for that. Tyrone's in the building. What's up? Let's make some money. Let's get it. Tyrone ended up having himself a nice day. I think he tailed some of the picks that we talked about from that Chicago-Detroit game. Al Pink, yesterday was a great show. Thank you for that. Appreciate you. Accolade is in the building. Jonathan Bishop in the building. Terrio, I see you. Thanks for joining me. Yo, Curry, what up? Let's cash today. I hear you, Koyo. We're going to do our best. Absolutely. Let's find the flow Friday. Love that. Michael says, hit that like button. Thank you, Michael, for reminding the people that they could support the channel at $0. Support free content. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. All right, guys, let's get into it. We got to get ourselves a free 2-pick power play winner from yesterday's show. So basically how this works, maybe you're watching this for the very first time. Maybe you're catching me on a replay. Let me explain something to you guys. I'm giving back. I'm giving back to my supporters. I'm giving back to the viewers. I'm giving back to everybody who's a part of what we're doing here on the channel and on the show each and every day. Here's how I'm giving back. I'm giving away a risk-free 2-pick power play on PrizePicks. You get both of the picks right. You win yourselves $100. Cost you nothing. You can potentially put a Benjamin down in your pocket, all right, if you get both of these picks right. How do you get qualified? Real simple. Be a subscriber. Easy peasy. Hit the subscribe button. No problem. Hit the like button. And then once I end today's show and the replay gets posted to YouTube, go to the comment section and just comment your favorite pick, your favorite prop, your favorite play of the day. Make it a good one because somebody might see that comment and tail your pick. Maybe it'll help them out and get them to the green. So that's how you get yourself a risk-free 2-pick power play on PrizePicks. I've already got yesterday's comment section preloaded, so let's get down to business and pick ourselves a winner. A winner chicken dinner. We've got 38 unique comments loaded from yesterday's show. Appreciate everybody who dropped by and left a comment. All that's left to do now is hit this start button. Bing! And hopefully we don't get a duplicate winner. Let's see. It's Emerson's Baby Gap shirt. Emerson's Baby Gap shirt. You are the winner. I don't know if you're here with us live. I don't know if maybe you're catching me on a replay, but congratulations to you. Risk-free 2-pick power play to win $100 is coming your way. All I need now is your PrizePicks email address. So send me a DM. You can DM me on Twitter at Curry the Creator, or jump in our free Discord, link down in the description below for the Twitter, link down in the description of today's video for the free Discord. Shoot me a DM. I need your PrizePicks email address so I can get that risk-free 2-pick power play added to your account. So congratulations to Emerson's Baby Gap shirt. Let's go ahead and do a little brain teaser, a little warm-up exercise. We got mystery player of the day, all right? This is LarryBirdle.com. Where they've got this little game set up here where we're going to try and figure out who today's mystery player is. We get 8 guesses. I've already plugged in our first guess. It's our thumbnail player of the game, John Morant. who is in a great matchup, by the way, tonight against the Los Angeles Lakers. So Ja Morant is the first guess. I will tell you this player is not Ja Morant. The mystery player is not Ja Morant, but the mystery player is out west, just not in the Southwest Division with the Memphis Grizzlies. Could be a guard/forward combo type of player, somebody who is taller than 6'2", somebody who is older than 23 years old, and somebody who's rocking a jersey number below 12, all right? 12, too high. We're looking for something like 10, 9, 8, some kind of single-digit number. It's always a West player. D'Angelo, I was thinking the same thing this morning. It is always a West player. I mean, look at the past players. I take that back. We did have Isaiah Jackson yesterday. He's from the East. But prior to that, we had a whole list of West players. Dylan Brooks, Larry Nance Jr., Jackson Hayes, Dominic Barlow, Troy Brown Jr., Jared Vanderbilt, Tari Eason, Dwight Powell, Garrett Temple, Boban. A lot of West players. You're right about that. It's been a very West dominant game here lately, but we did have Isaiah Jackson yesterday of the Indiana Pacers. So we know that it's not Ja Morant. We know that it's not going to be somebody from the Memphis Grizzlies. We know that it's not going to be somebody from the Southwest Division. So we're going Pacific Division or Northwest Division. So that leaves 10 different teams this player could reside from. KZ Okpala. You think it's KZ Okpala? Oh, I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that. Maybe, I guess. I mean, I guess it could be, right? Somebody's saying Russell Westbrook. Let's go with Westbrook. Let's go with Westbrook. Let's just see if that gets us any closer. Could be a bad guess. Not a terrible guess. Not the worst guess, but not the best guess either. So Westbrook is in the Pacific Division, so now we know that this player is not in the Pacific Division, which rules out the Warriors, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Suns, and the Kings. It is a guard. Westbrook's not quite tall enough. He's 6'3". We're looking for somebody who's taller than 6'3". He's too old as well. Somebody between 23 and 33 years old. And the jersey number for Westbrook at 0 is far too low. We need a jersey number that's higher than 0, but lower than 12. So we got like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 possibly. Jersey number 1 through 10 possibly. KZ Okpala, that was another guess. We can go with Okpala. Let's see if he's on here. Is he on here? It's not KZ Okpala, who's in the Pacific Division as well. All right, after 3 guesses, I like to bring up the silhouette. Let's see if this... Oh, wait a second. No. You know who... Yeah, I think I know who this is. Not Damian Lillard. Nope. I recognize this silhouette. Not LeBron James. Not Josh Hart. Nope. I don't think it's any of those guys. I don't think this is D'Angelo Russell either. I think I know who this is. This guy had himself a fantastic night last night, though. He played last night. If it's who I think it is. If it's who I think, yeah. MIA straw hat. I think I'm rocking with you. Tyrone, I think I'm rocking with you. I think you guys know. Yeah. K.A. I think it's my man K.A. from the Minnesota Timberwolves. We're talking about Kyle Anderson for those of you who don't know. Northwest Division. So we know it's not a Southwest or Pacific Division player. I think that's Kyle Anderson, my friends. Let's go ahead and lock it in. Lock it in, baby. Boom! Yeah, Kyle Anderson. Absolutely big night last night from Kyle Anderson. He killed it. He played very, very well. There was no Rudy Gobert last night. Obviously, Karl Anthony Towns is out. Kyle Anderson really stepped up and filled in. Picked up the slack last night. So shout out to Kyle Anderson. He is a Minnesota T-Wolf in the Western Conference, Northwest Division, forward/guard, 6'9". Yeah, he's got a little size on him. 29 years old, and he's rocking jersey number 5. So yes, shout out to everybody who guessed Kyle Anderson. You are correct. Let's get into today's NBA slate. We got a lot of games to talk about, 9 games to be exact. And guys, I just want to tell y'all, first and foremost, thank you for all your support. Thank you for showing up each day. Thank you for being a part of the show and being a part of the channel. Appreciate all the new subscribers. We had Patrick subscribe last night. Mike subscribed yesterday. Dr. Talisha Haywood, PhD, subscribed yesterday. Aces Cabbage with the subscription. So I appreciate all the new subscribers. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for all the support. All right, 9-game NBA slate. It starts with New Orleans and Orlando. Guys, there is a lot of injury news. I was scanning over today's games, all the matchups. There is a lot of potential pending injury news that we have to stay on top of. And it starts right here with this game, New Orleans and Orlando. We got Herb Jones for the Pelicans, game time decision. Najee Marshall, who's been playing very well in the absence of Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, he's also a game time decision. Speaking of BI, speaking of the Z-Man, both of those guys still out for the New Orleans Pelicans. So the big one here is going to be Najee Marshall for New Orleans. Is he going to play? Is he not? We don't know yet. Herb Jones is another piece of impactful injury news here. Now on the Orlando side, Franz Wagner, my guy Franz. Of course, if you guys have been here for a while, you know I'm a big Orlando Magic fan. That's my team. That's my squad. That's my ride or die. But Franz Wagner, game time decision at this moment. Jonathan Isaac has been playing pretty decent minutes for our G League affiliate. So you might see Jonathan Isaac join the starting lineup here, or potentially come off the bench for the Orlando Magic before too long. Chuma Okeke, he is still out. So the big one here is Franz Wagner, obviously 228.5 points, like that total with a 1.5 point spread. Looks like it's going to be a close and competitive game. Now here's a big one for you guys. Obviously Trae Young and the New York Knicks have a little bit of a rivalry, right? Obviously there's a little bit of bad blood, a little bit of tension between Ice Trae and the New York Knicks. Well, the Knicks are traveling to Atlanta tonight to take on the Hawks. Trae Young is a game time decision though, as is Bogdan Bogdanović. Big pieces for the Atlanta Hawks. We need to see if they're going to be in or out. Speaking of out, Mitchell Robinson is out. He's already been ruled out for the New York Knicks. So no Mitchell Robinson, meaning Isaiah Hartenstein. Your guy Jericho Sims probably going to come off the bench and get some minutes. All right. So it's going to be an interesting scenario here if Trae Young doesn't go. I hope he does, though. I love seeing Trae Young play against the Knicks. 228. That's the total. 3.5 point spread. This game tips off at 7:30. Speaking of 7:30 tip-offs, we got Golden State. We saw them last night in an epic game. That game was very good. Did you guys watch that Golden State Warriors Boston Celtics game? Very good game. Jason Tatum, unbelievable. Put the team on his back. Led him in scoring. Dominated on the boards. Had himself like 6 dimes on top of that. I mean, Jason Tatum really filled up the PRA. So if you played some Jason Tatum props last night, you probably hit on most of them. Anyway, Golden State is in a back-to-back. Looks like Klay Thompson is scheduled to be out tonight. He's like pink, light red. So that kind of means that he's maybe closer to doubtful than probable. But we got a lot of green light goes for the likes of James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, Andre Iguodala, and JaMychal Green. So they might be resting Klay Thompson tonight, which means Curry, Poole, Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Kevon Looney might be your starting lineup going against a tough Cleveland team. Cleveland dealing with their own injuries. Ricky Rubio's out. He just made his return back to the floor a couple games ago. So maybe they're kind of managing his minutes, monitoring how much he actually plays in back-to-backs and stuff like that. But he's out. Dean Wade's out, and so is Dylan Windler. Donovan Mitchell obviously is the big piece of injury news here. He is a game time decision. Not sure if we're going to see the spider or not. If he sits, I'd expect Karis LeVert to join the starting lineup and play alongside Darius Garland in that backcourt tonight. So they'll be okay even if Donovan Mitchell can't go. But this game has all the makings for another fun game. 225.5 points with a 7.5 point spread. Kenneth, shout out to you. Thanks for being here, buddy. Let's move down to some of these other games. 7:30 tip-off, another great game. Miami at Dallas. This one should be fun. Both of these teams with winning records. Udonis Haslem, game time decision. Not really an impactful piece of injury news there, but he's on the injury list. Looks like he's going to suit up and be active. Jovic, Robinson, and Yurtseven all out for Miami. Other than that, they should be pretty good. Kyle Lowry back in the starting lineup. Harrow, Martin, Butler, and Adebayo. Probably going to have some Gabe Vincent, some Victor Oladipo off the bench. You know the drill. For the Dallas Mavericks, Tim Hardaway Jr. I believe he missed the last game. He is scheduled to play tonight. He looks like he is going to be active. Bad news for the Dallas Mavericks, though. Fractured thumb for Christian Wood. Christian Wood is out. He's going to be reevaluated in about a week. Broke his thumb. That's no bueno. He was playing very good basketball. So it's going to be Dwight Powell, DFS, Tim Hardaway Jr., Spencer Dinwiddie, and Luka Doncic. Guys, I think the Dallas Mavericks need to make a splash as we approach this trade deadline. I think Dallas needs a little bit of help. They need something, right? Get Luka some help. Anyway, just a 219-point total, so this is a low and slow type of game. It's projecting to be very low scoring, so I'd be careful taking too many overs from this one. 8 o'clock, next game, Los Angeles Clippers, San Antonio Spurs. Luke Kennard already out. John Wall is going to be out. He's dealing with an abdominal issue. San Antonio, Devin Vassell still out for the Spurs. This one's got a nice total of 231 with a 7-point spread. I do kind of expect the Clippers to blow out the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to see Kawhi Leonard return to San Antonio. Do you guys think he has a good game tonight? Let me know in the live chat or down in the comments section if you're catching this on the replay. I'm kind of excited and interested to see Kawhi Leonard back in San Antonio. I think he has himself a pretty decent game. Indiana and Denver tips off at 9 o'clock. We've got 240, not 230, 240 points between these two teams. It's a big spread though, meaning I'm probably just going first half only on this game. It's an 11-point spread. It's favoring the Denver Nuggets here. So if we take a look at the injuries, obviously Tyrese Halliburton, the biggest piece of injury news for the Indiana Pacers. He is out. We've been seeing Nembhard take over at the point guard duties. Lots of assists for him. He had a pretty good scoring night the last night that he took the floor against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Buddy Hield, Benedict Mathurin. We've got Aaron Nesmith and Miles Turner. Be careful with not Miles Turner. I think they're kind of like monitoring his minutes and limiting his minutes in a way because he is a potential trade target. So I think they're kind of treating him, a little different here lately. We haven't seen a whole lot of Miles Turner. I think he played like 20 minutes the last time he took the floor. So they want to protect this asset. If they're looking to trade him to like a Toronto Raptors or Los Angeles Clippers, they may not be playing Miles Turner a whole lot of minutes. So that's kind of something that's going to shake things up. You got to be careful with some of these guys that they're rumored to be trading, right? So Miles Turner's one of them. Only played like 20 minutes the last time he took the floor. So I'm kind of staying away from him tonight. Anyway, for the Denver Nuggets, Jamal Murray is a game time decision. Looks like he's closer to probable than doubtful. Uncle Jeff Green, game time decision. Watson, game time decision. And Gillespie has already been ruled out. So be careful with this one, guys. It's a 240-point total, which I love. It's just the spread of 11 that's a little concerning. Might make that a first half only style game for me. Brooklyn at Utah, 9 p.m. tip-off. A lot of things went wrong for the Brooklyn Nets last night. I don't know if you guys tuned into that game, but they got smoked by the Phoenix Suns, and the Suns aren't even at full strength. It was pretty embarrassing. Kevin Durant was obviously out, but Kyrie Irving played. Ben Simmons ended up getting ejected. I don't know what was going on with Brooklyn. They've been playing good basketball. They're 27-17 on the season. Very nice record, but last night just wasn't their night. So maybe they bounce back tonight against Utah. Utah also with a pretty decent record, 24-24. No Kelly Olynyk for the for the Utah Jazz. So Walker Kessler, who's been playing some pretty good minutes and producing in the rebounds. He's a good shot blocker. He's been getting some points. Walker Kessler is going to be your starting center tonight, going up against Nick Claxton, Mr. Steals and blocks, Nicholas Claxton. Anyway, 229.5 points with a 7.5-point spread. It favors the Utah Jazz, surprisingly. Moving on to the 10 p.m. I already mentioned Ja Morant. I really like this matchup for him going up against the Los Angeles Lakers. There's actually a lot of guys to like here on this Grizzlies side of things. Desmond Bane, been playing lights out. Steven Adams, been playing lights out. Steven Adams, for me, more of a first half play. As the game starts to go on, Steven Adams doesn't get quite as much run in the second half. So if you're going to play Steven Adams, probably just want to go first half on him. He's been a pretty good, consistent, reliable first half performer. Whether it be fantasy score, whether it be PRA, those are probably the top two ways that I would play Steven Adams for a first half prop. Desmond Bane, also been a guy who's been killing it when it comes to the first half props. Go take a look at Desmond Bane's first half game logs and you'll see what I'm talking about here. But Zaire Williams, game time decision. Danny Green is out. Over on the Lakers side of things, keep an eye on LeBron James. He is a game time decision. Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, and Lonnie Walker already ruled out for LA. They've missed the last couple of games. But I love the total on this game. 243.5 points with a 7.5-point spread. I do think that even if LeBron James plays, that Memphis eventually pulls away from the Lakers in this one and ends up kind of being a blowout. Luis Pena, what's up, brother? Thanks for being here. OKC versus Sacramento finishes things off. We got a nice little nightcap here, 241.5 points with a 3.5 point spread. Guys, Domantas Sabonis, Alex Len, Matthew Dellavedova all popped with like some sort of illness in their last game, so they all sat out. I don't know if they're going to play tonight. Obviously, Domantas Sabonis is really the only one we care about, but he's currently a game time decision. He's dealing with some sort of, I think they're saying it's a non-COVID illness. Of course, COVID's going around. I'm recovering from COVID. Got that on New Year's Day. Shout out to me. And then, of course, we've got the flu. It's flu season that's going around. So these guys are sick, basically. So we're not sure if Sabonis is going to play or not. We saw Rashawn Holmes. Rashawn Holmes came in for Domantas Sabonis in that last game, and Rashawn Holmes had himself a pretty good game against the Los Angeles Lakers in filling in for Domantas Sabonis. So maybe that happens again tonight. No Jang, no Pokashevsky, no JRE. That's Jeremiah Robinson Earl, for those of you who don't know. None of those guys are going to be playing for OKC tonight. So we'll have to wait and see. Guys, I've been a little disappointed with SGA lately. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has kind of cooled off. We've seen Josh Giddey sort of step up. We've seen Lou Dort step up in some of these games. We've seen Jalen Williams step up for the OKC Thunder. So I'm a little bit kind of like I want to play SGA because I know what he's capable of, but it seems like he's been taking a reduced role here. And these other guys around him, these other pieces for the OKC Thunder have kind of stepped up around him. So I don't know. We'll have to look into it, but he's got himself a pretty decent matchup going against the Sacramento Kings in a game that has a total of 241.5 points. But Michael, shout out to you. Thanks for being here, my friend. All right, guys, start hitting me with your questions. What are you guys liking today? I mentioned Ja Morant being a potential target for me because I think he's going to be in a really good spot playing against the Lakers. If we just take a quick look while you guys are loading up some questions for me to answer. We're looking at the last 7 games. This is a DVP chart, defense versus position. So the last 7 games, no team in the NBA has given up more fantasy points per game to opposing point guards than the Los Angeles Lakers, which is why I think Ja Morant's probably in line for a pretty good night tonight. You could go Desmond Bane if you feel that maybe Bane has the better night. But either which way, I think this is a good spot for us to kind of go with like some Ja Morant. They don't have his fantasy score up yet, but other ways that you could play Ja Morant, obviously the points. Lakers are giving up over 33 points per game to point guards in their last 7 games. No team is giving up more points than the Lakers in that 7-game span. So obviously his points are going to be something that you should be considering tonight. Anything that involves his points. So you could go with just the pure raw points at 27.5. You could go PRA if you want. You could go points and rebounds, points and assists. Anything that involves his points, I think, is a pretty good look. Not to mention that they're giving up 6.93, almost 7 rebounds per game to opposing point guards in the last 7 games. You kind of see where they rank here, right? We don't have to go down very farther in the top 10 most rebounds given up in the last 7 games to point guards. So Ja Morant's going to be in a pretty good spot here, whether you go points and rebounds, points, rebounds, and assists. The Lakers are giving up a healthy amount of assists per game to point guards as well. 8.3 per game puts them just outside the top 10, but you can see they're really close to the top of the list here. So I think overall, Ja Morant's probably going to be in a pretty darn good spot. So let's just look at some props here, some projections for Ja Morant. We'll start with the points. I've got him projected for 28.8 points tonight, which is more than 27.5, so that's a nice little projection. We're seeing him at 27.5 on DraftKings. He's a betting favorite at this moment to go over at 27.5. Heck, FanDuel's even got him at 28.5, meaning their lines makers think 28 to 29 points might be an outcome for Ja Morant tonight. So that's a good projection on his points. We talked about maybe taking points and rebounds. You could go that route. His points and rebounds are set at 32.5 here on PrizePicks. Projected for 33.8. That's more than 32.5. He is at 32.5 on DraftKings, 32.5 on BetMGM. Here's where things get interesting, though. He's at 34.5 rebounds and points and rebounds on FanDuel. 34.5, 2 whole points higher on FanDuel and PointsBet than what we're paying here on PrizePicks at just 32.5. So that's a pretty big difference, right? Normally a point of value, we get pretty excited, but this is 2 points of value on Ja Morant when you compare to the lines on FanDuel and PointsBet. So I think Ja Morant's probably in a pretty good spot tonight. Let's take a look at the points and assists. They're at 35.5 here on PrizePicks. We're seeing them at 35.5 on DraftKings and BetMGM, 37.5 on FanDuel, 37.5 on PointsBet. So again, their lines makers, who are probably pretty good at their jobs, have a line set at 37.5. They think 37 to 38 points plus assists is where Ja Morant lands tonight. I got him projected for 37.2 according to Action Labs and Fantasy Labs and their projection tools. So yeah, we're seeing some value here on Ja Morant. What about the PRA? Let's wrap it up here. We'll talk PRA and then I'll get to some of your questions. Ja Morant's PRA projection, 42.2. He is at 41.5 on PrizePicks. We're not seeing quite as much value on Ja Morant. He's at 41.5 on PrizePicks, 41.5 on DraftKings and BetMGM. We are seeing him at 42.5 on FanDuel, where he is a minus 120 betting favorite to go over. So if people are betting the over at 42.5, it makes me feel kind of confident that maybe we could be taking the over at 41.5. So there's a lot of different ways to play Ja Morant. I would probably play something that includes his points. All right. So that could be fantasy score, points and rebounds, points and assists, points, rebounds, and assists. And we could quickly, using props.cash, take a quick look and see which props Ja Morant has been hitting at the highest rate this season. Let's go do that real quick. Swig of water while this loads. See, we got a super chat coming through from Everyday Fantasy. Appreciate you. Yesterday's winner, Arnold, was Emerson's Baby Gap shirt. He was the winner of yesterday's risk-free 2-pick power play. Boom. There it is. Emerson's Baby Gap shirt won today's giveaway. So just waiting for Emerson to send me that PrizePicks email address. Anyway, that was the winner. So let's go take a look at Ja Morant and his game logs real quick. We're just gonna take a quick peek and see which way Ja Morant has been going the best here. 19 for 37 when it comes to the points at 27.5. He's gonna be on the road tonight. On the road, he scores a little bit better than when he does at home. 27.7 points per game, 28.6 in the last 10. We've seen that scoring average jump all the way up to 31.6 in the last 5. So Ja Morant scoring on the road in his last 5 games is all the way up to 31.6. So he's been scoring the basketball at a really high rate here in his last 5 games. He's hit the over on 27.5 points on the road in 5 out of his last 6 games. So that's pretty encouraging news. I'm sorry, that's at home. That's at home. He's on the road today. My bad. My B. Flip it and reverse it. So he scores more at home than he does away, but it's not a big difference. 27 points per game on the road, 27.7 at home. So just a 0.7 difference. So not a big significant swing when he plays at home versus when he plays on the road. Now, when he's on the road, it's been a little dicey here. His last 5 road games, he's just 2 for 5. That's not good. His last 10 road games, 24.3. Last 5 road games, 26.6. What about some of these other props? We talked about his points. What about his points and assists? 10 for 18, 56% hit rate. That's not too bad. His last 5 games, averaging 36.4 points and assists, hitting the over in 3 out of his last 5 games on the road. That could be an option for you. 56% hit rate. Let's look at the points and rebounds. That's also 50%. So the points and assists hits a little bit higher. So I'd go points and assists before I would go points and rebounds. Points, rebounds, and assists, 50% hit rate. So I think for me, I would go points and assists, as that does have the highest hit rate when he plays on the road. Let's see what he's done against the Los Angeles Lakers. Has not played them at all this season, but last season he played them 3 times, had some very good games. 50 points and assists versus the Lakers at LA, which is where he's playing tonight. 43 at home versus the Lakers. That's points and assists. And then 23, not so good of a game there at LA. So 2 out of the last 3 times that he's played the Lakers, he's gone over his points and assists line of 35.5. So that would be probably my favorite way to play Ja Morant if you're going to play Ja Morant tonight, taking the over on his points and assists. All right, so there's one for you to gnaw on. All right, let's get to your questions. We got Everyday Fantasy leaving a super chat. Guys, I'm going to prioritize super chats above all the other questions. The people that are leaving the super chats, I appreciate it. It goes a long way in helping support the channel. So I'm going to take the super chats first. So if you have something that you have to have answered, a must have answer type of question, consider using a super chat. Really, it does go a long way in helping support me, support the content, support the channel, support the show. So I appreciate everybody who's leaving a super chat. And if you don't know how to do that, in the live chat window, below the live chat window, there's like a little dollar icon. I believe you click that, it'll highlight your comment like it has for Everyday Fantasy so that I can see it, so that the rest of the chat can see it. And then, we'll do a deep dive on your super chat for you. So let's start with this super chat. We got Everyday Fantasy. He's liking some MPJ, Michael Porter Jr. of the Denver Nuggets, going for more than 10.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Now, I believe that Michael Porter Jr. has been playing some pretty good ball lately. Let's take a look. So he's at 7.5 points. He's hit that in 3 out of his last 5. 10.5 PRA. He's hit that in 3 out of his last 5. And he's at 12.5 fantasy score. He's hit that in 3 out of his last 5. So my question for you, Everyday Fantasy, is why the PRA? Why the PRA versus maybe just the points or the fantasy score? Let me know. What is it about the PRA that you're liking more than the other ones? Let's go to the PRA, though, and let's go to this Indiana-Denver game. Guys, we're using props.cash in case you didn't know. If you're wondering where all these beautiful green and red bar graphs are coming from, it's coming from props.cash. And I can get you 25% off your first month of props.cash whenever you use promo code Curry. Okay? So we're going to go first half. Yes, they make first half research very easy for you. We dial this down to 10.5, and we're taking a look at Michael Porter Jr., 10.5 first half PRA. All right. He's 20 for 31. Started off the season red hot. Guys, I remember those days. I was taking Michael Porter Jr. over his first half points, his PRA, his fantasy score to start the season. He then started to kind of cool off. Things started to get a little bit more rocky, a little bit more volatile. But recently, he's been doing a lot better here. He's hit the over in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of his last 10, 11, 12, 13. 9 for his last 13, so he's got a pretty nice little hit rate going. Now, Michael Porter Jr. is in a high-scoring game. We already talked about the total being close to 240 points between these two teams, but we are concerned that this game could potentially blow out. So let's take a look and see how Michael Porter Jr. performs when he's at home versus when he's away when it comes to the P, the R, and the A. At home, he averages 11.8 PRA this season. He's 10 for 16, 63% hit rate. When he's on the road, he averages 14.3. 14.3. So he's scoring significantly more points, rebounds, and assists when he plays on the road versus when he plays at home. We are catching him at home tonight, though. It is going to be a home situation for him. So let me take a look at something here. We got a 63% hit rate on his PRA. What about just the points on their own? We talked about those at 7.5 on PrizePicks. Do we like the 7.5 points more, or do we like the 10.5 PRA more? You could go two different ways here. The PRA, 63% hit rate at home this season. The points on their own, 44% hit rate at home. Yeah. 44% hit rate. First half points for Michael Porter Jr. playing at home. Okay, so it's very obvious, very clear to see why Everyday Fantasy's liking the PRA more than the points, because 44% on just the points when he plays at home, not very good. But the PRA, a little bit better. 10 for 16, 63%. So if you're going to play either one of these, probably a little bit more confident playing the points, rebounds, and assists. It's got the higher hit rate. And we know that this matchup against the Indiana Pacers, they're not very good against opposing bigs. Let's take a look here. Michael Porter Jr. is going to be the small forward. Aaron Gordon, typically your power forward for the Denver Nuggets. Let's go see how many points, rebounds, and assists the Pacers are giving up in their last 7 games. More recent sample size. Over 25 points per game. Huge. That is top 10 quality there. 10.5 rebounds per game. That is top 3. Third most rebounds per game. And they're giving up 3.85 assists per game, which puts them right around the middle. Right around the middle of the league. So they are giving up 25 plus 10. That's about 36 plus the assists. We'll call them 4 assists. About 40 PRA per game to opposing small forwards in their last 7 games. We cut that in half. That's about 20 PRA per half. Michael Porter Jr. needs 11. They're giving up about 20 per half to the position. So I think he's in a pretty good spot here, my friend. I think you're onto something taking some Michael Porter Jr. over that first half. PRA. All right. Let's see. We got some other super chats coming through. Jimmy, I think you found the lock of the day. Let's talk about it real quick. Jimmy might have the absolute smash play of the day. Luka Doncic, 0.5 points. Unless this man slips on a wet spot before making his first basket and gets injured, Luka Doncic should easily cover his 0.5 point prop today. He's averaging 33.7 points per game this season, my friends. Now I'm going to do you guys a favor. I'm going to move his line all the way down to 0.5. And you can see that Luka Doncic has a 100% hit rate at 0.5 points this season. That's right. He's 41 for 41. 100% hit rate. He has yet to miss this prop in any game this season. 33.7 points per game, 36.5 in his last 10, 31.5 in his last 5 games. Luka Doncic has been on an absolute tear. Take the over at 0.5 points. I believe you could put up $20 on this particular play. Luka Doncic needs 1 point to go over. I think you've got the best play of the day so far, Jimmy. Shout out to you. Thank you for the super chat. And hopefully, we're just having fun here. Big J, 44 is coming through with one. He's liking the Bam Adebayo 10.5 rebound prop. He wants to go over on it. He thinks Bam Bam is good for at least 11 rebounds. Let's go take a look at Bam Adebayo. Now, I know that some of you loathe Bam. I know some of you loathe playing Miami Heat players and props. I'm one of them. I'm in the same boat with you. I don't really trust the Heat. I don't really trust Bam Adebayo all that much. He's at 10.5 rebounds today, though, and he's going up against the Dallas Mavericks, who we already talked about. It's going to be a little bit short-handed, right? No Christian Wood's got that fractured thumb. I think Maxi Kleber's expected to be out. So it's going to be Bam Adebayo versus, Dwight Powell? Probably going to see some JaVale McGee come off the bench for the Dallas Mavericks, taking up some of those backup center minutes. So Bam should be in a pretty good spot against Dwight Powell. You would think. So let's go ahead, switch this over on Props.Cash from points to rebounds. We're already on the Miami and Dallas game. We're going to go find Bam Adebayo here. Click his name, and you can see that lately, Bam Adebayo, compared to like the first half of the season, he's played 41 games. So about the first 20 games or so, a lot more red in his little bar graphs here than we've seen in the last 20 games, right? He's been hitting the over at 10.5 rebounds at a much higher rate in his last 10 games or so. Let's just take a look at the last 30. We'll weed out some of those games. He's 17 for 30 in his last 30 games, 57% hit rate, going over 10.5 boards. Let's take a look at the last 10 games, 6 for 10, 60%, not too terrible. We can also look at the split information. Maybe he rebounds better when he's on the road versus when he's at home. We can do that using Props.Cash. If we look at his home rebounds, 10.4 rebounds when he plays at home per game. He's averaging 11.2 in his last 10 and 10.8 in his last 5. But today he's on the road. He's not at home today. He's on the road. And on the road, rebounds have been harder to come by. 9.7 rebounds per game. That's under 10 rebounds. But again, lately, his last 10 games on the road or so, he's really picked it up. 11.6 rebounds per game in his last 10. Also 11.6 in the last 5 games. So we look at the last 10 games on the road, 7 for 10, 70% hit rate. The last 5 games on the road, 4 for 5, 80% hit rate. So he's definitely picked up the pace when it comes to rebounding the basketball in the last 10 games and in the last 5 games. So Bam Adebayo could be a decent play for you. Now, he's going up against Dallas today. We talked about them being kind of shorthanded. This will be the first time that he takes on the Dallas Mavericks. So we don't have any previous game logs from this season to look at. But we can go back and take a quick look at what he did against them last season. He played them twice, had 13 boards at Dallas in one game, 12 boards at Miami in the next game. So 13 and 12, very good numbers, averaging 12.5 rebounds per game versus Dallas in his last 2 games. So there's a little rundown for you on Bam Adebayo. He's really picked up the rebounding pace in the last 20 games or so, and doing a pretty good job in his last 5 and last 10 on the road. So let's go take a look here at a projection for Bam. I've got him projected for 11.1 rebounds. That's more than 10.5, so that's good news. At 10.5, though, we are seeing some juice on the under, meaning the bettors out there with money in hand are taking the under on Bam. They don't have a whole lot of confidence that he finds at least 11 rebounds tonight. So you're kind of going against the implied odds on these sports books, which is a little dicey. It's a little shaky. It makes you uncomfortable when you're going against sort of the betting public and the way that the juice is flowing here, right? But you do have a solid projection of 11.1. You've seen this guy do well against Dallas in games from last season. You've seen him do a lot better lately in terms of covering 10.5 rebounds. And let's also take a look here. Last 7 games, Dallas has given up about 15.8 rebounds per game to the center spot, which puts them right around the top 10 most rebounds given up in that span. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, exactly 10th. The 10th most rebounds given up by the Dallas Mavericks to centers at 15.8 boards. Another way that you could possibly look to play Bam Adebayo is his points plus rebounds, because Dallas has given up over 26, nearly 27 points per game to the center spot too. So maybe you don't like just the rebounds for Bam Adebayo. Maybe you prefer taking Bam in his rebounds and his points. When you combine the two, he's at 32.5. Just getting you a projection on that real quick. Projected for 33. We're seeing him at 31.5. Big betting favorite to go over at 31.5. He's at 32.5 on FanDuel. Starting to see a little bit of action on the over at 32.5. Wish we had him at 31.5, but unfortunately, we're not going to get him at 31.5. What about his PRA line? We could look at that one too. That's at 34.5 on PrizePicks, 35.2 projection. He's at 34.5 on some books, 35.5 on other books. So betting favorite to go under on 34.5. Not loving that one too much. So there's a little bit of information though for you on Bam Adebayo. Rebounds and assists, I mean, possibly. Let's look at those. Oh. Wait a second. Bam Adebayo projected for 13.3 rebounds and assists. Right now on DraftKings, he is a minus 145 betting favorite to go over 12.5. And then FanDuel's got him at 13.5 rebounds and assists. And on BetMGM, he's a minus 130 betting favorite to go over. So we're seeing some pretty good juice on the over here. So based on what I'm seeing, I think right now Bam Adebayo's rebounds and assists wouldn't be a bad option for you. Instead of going just purely on the rebounds, you could go rebounds and assists. Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah, his last 10 games, 70%. Last 30 games, 20 for 30, 67%. So he's been actually doing a really good job rebounding and assisting. So that could be the category to really go after here. He's hit this in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 out of his last 19 games. He has gone over 12.5 rebounds and assists. I kind of like this one the most, the best. 12.5 rebounds and assists looks pretty good. At home, 13.5. On the road, 12.8. He's hit this in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of his last 11 games on the road, too. Whew, okay, I think we might have found ourselves a winner here. I prefer the rebounds and assists over everything else. He was 2 for 2 against Dallas, covering rebounds and assists as well last season. So that's just a little bit more good news. 14 and 15 rebounds and assists in those 2 games. All right, sign me up. I'll take Bam Adebayo for more than 12 and a half rebounds and assists. Big J, let me know. Are you rocking with that? You going to go just the rebounds? You going to take some other prop for Bam Adebayo? I think the rebounds and assists look pretty spicy right now, though. Let's see. What else? We've got Mr. Dave Gutierrez coming through with the super chat. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you. He's liking some Jalen Williams over 1.5 blocks and steals. 1.5 blocks and steals for Jalen Williams. Let's go look at that one real quick. Williams. Blocks and steals, he is at 1.5. He's going up against Sacramento. We don't know if Domantas Sabonis is playing or not today, but nonetheless, we can still do a little deep dive for you on Jalen Williams and these steals and blocks and see what his chances are looking like to go over. Appreciate the super chat once again. Taking a look at the steals and blocks here for Jalen Williams. Yeah, he's been doing some work when it comes to steals and blocks here over the last 10 games or so. His last 10 games, guys, he is a perfect 10 for 10. Is this a setup? Is this bait? Do we feel like this could be potentially a trap here for Jalen Williams? 10 out of his last 10 looks freaking good, right? That's a lot of green bars, my friends. A lot of green bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 out of his last 12, 10 straight games. I know everything that's good comes to an end at some point. I don't know though. Is it tonight? Does it come to an end tonight? God, I hope not. I mean, that looks really good, Dave. Hard not to love a 10 for 10, 11 out of your last 12 type of prop that's hitting like that. I mean, yeah. Let's look at Jalen Williams real quick and see if I've got a projection for you on that one. I've got Jalen Williams projected for 2 steals and blocks. That's more than 1.5. That's exactly what we need him to have, at least 2 today. He is a minus 130 betting favorite on BetMGM to go over at 1.5 stocks. Things are looking pretty good here for Jalen Williams. You might have found yourself a little gem. Let's go look at the shooting guard, small forward position, see how many blocks that the Sacramento Kings have been giving up in the last 7 games or so. So we're looking at the steals first. Sacramento giving up about 1.5 steals per game to shooting guards. He's probably more the small forward, though, with Giddey and SGA in that backcourt. And then you got Jalen Williams, Lou Dort kind of playing your forward spots. OKC's kind of a interesting team, right? They've got 4 guys who could play 4 different positions. So we'll look at some of the, go across the board and look at all the positions here. Anyway, Jalen Williams, when it comes to blocks, shooting guards and blocks, Sacramento last 7 games, not giving up too many blocks, just 0.11, not even 1 block, almost a tenth of a block per game in the last 7 games. All right, small forwards. Looking at the steals given up by Sacramento to small forwards in the last 7 games, like I said, just a more recent sample size, 1.1 steals and about 0.38 blocks. So not too many stocks being given up to small forwards in the last 7 games. And then we'll also look at that power forward spot too, which is probably the most appropriate Jalen Williams position. If you were going to put him in any position, to probably be power forward. Anyway, Sacramento's given up 1.5 steals and about 1 block. So that's about 2.5 steals and blocks for a guy who needs 2. This might be worth just rolling the dice on, right? Yeah, 10 out of his last 10. So good find there for Dave Gutierrez. Again, appreciate the super chat. Appreciate you, my friend. Let's see here. What other questions do we have? Is there any other super chats that I missed? We got Jimmy, we took care of him. Big J44, we took care of Everyday Fantasy. We took care of Dave Gutierrez. I appreciate all those super chats again. Big J says he's rocking with Bam Adebayo's rebounds and assists. I think we found ourselves a pretty good one there. I mean, you can't really disagree with that too much, right? Bam for 13 rebounds and assists. Let's run it, right? Alex Johnson says he's throwing 5 on it. He's got 5 on it. Luka Doncic free square and the Bam rebounds and assists. He got 5 on it. I like that. Just scrolling through the rest of the comments here. Like I said, I'm not going to be able to get to them all. There's so many more of you than there is me. I appreciate everybody who's leaving comments and chatting about their favorite props and stuff. That's why we do what we do here. We're going to try to get to as many as possible. Scrolling through, let's see. Trill Fate, he's mentioning Desmond Bane's PRA for the first half. We did briefly touch on that one, how Desmond Bane and Steven Adams, very good first half performers here recently. So let's go and give you a visual of Desmond Bane here. Of course, we got the last 5 games provided by PrizePicks. Shout out to PrizePicks for making that available for us. But we want to look beyond the last 5 games. Last 5's cool and all, but give me a bigger sample size. And that's where Props.Cash kind of comes into play and why I use it for player prop research. So let's go get you a bigger sample size on Desmond Bane. That first half PRA at 15.5. He got himself into a little bit of foul trouble the last time he took the floor against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Pretty much sat out the entire first quarter. Came back strong though in that second quarter, and Desmond Bane was going bananas. Bonkers. Desmond Bane cleared his first half PRA in basically one quarter, the second quarter. All right, so once you have Props.Cash, once you're a Props.Cash subscriber, you could pull up the PRA here. We're looking at the full season. We don't want to look at full game. We want to look at first half only. First half only, he has now hit this in 6 straight games. He started to heat up here when it comes to covering the points, rebounds, and assists, hitting this in 6 straight, 23, 17, 21, 20, 19, and 18. In 6 straight games, he has gone over 15.5 first half PRA. All right, let's take a look at the splits. Is he getting more PRA at home, more PRA on the road? At home, 15.2 this season. On the road, just 11.5. He is going to be on the road tonight, so that is a little bit of cause for concern. 3 for 11 at 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists. His success rate not as good on the road as it is at home. I want to point that out. This is a pretty big difference here. Splits at home versus splits on the road. 11.5 first half PRA on the road. 15.2 first half PRA when he plays at home. That's a big swing. You're talking about almost 4 first half PRA difference between the two. Not that he can't get it done. I'm just presenting the facts here. He just seems to get it done better when he plays in Memphis versus when he plays anywhere else. All right, like we mentioned, Memphis has not played the Lakers yet this season, but going back to last season, you see what Desmond Bane did at 15.5 first half PRA. 1 for 4, 25% hit rate against the Lakers. Now, 2 of these games were in LA. He was 1 for 2. He split against the Lakers. 15 PRA in his first matchup in October. Then he comes back in January of 2022 and barely covers 16 first half points, rebounds, and assists. So you're going to be biting your nails. You're going to be sitting on the edge of your seat. Bring a towel. It could be sweaty. Desmond Bane on the road against the Lakers. 1 for his last 4. 1 for 2 on the road against the Lakers. And then we just talked about all the splits situations. When he's on the road, it just ain't been the same as when he's played at home. What are you guys thinking about this? I don't want to scare you off anything. The matchup's probably a great one against the Lakers. I am here to present the facts, though. So if you're going to take this, I'd probably only take it in a flex entry. And I don't know if I would go too heavy on it. I don't know if I would overexpose myself, have too much of this prop in my entries. So if you're going to make multiple entries, you might want to dial this one back just a little bit because there is some uncertainty here based on the numbers that we're looking at, right? Let's see. Got a couple of super chats coming in. We'll get to those in just a minute. So there's your rundown on Desmond Bane. But as far as the matchup goes, yes, he is the shooting guard. He's going up against the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's just see how many points, rebounds, and assists the Lakers have been giving up in the last 7 games. 19.1. You could see that number is in orange because it is the fewest. the fewest amount of points allowed to the shooting guard position in the last 7 games. So they've been either facing really bad shooting guards in the last 7 games, or they've just been locking down the shooting guard position in their last 7 games. Just 19.1 points. That is the fewest points per game to shooting guards of any team. So they've been doing a really good job at limiting the points, which is going to be probably the main resource. The main way that Desmond Bane is going to get over his PRA is going to be scoring, but they have been locking up shooting guards apparently. 5.5 rebounds and 5.7 assists. Let's just round those up. We'll call that 6 rebounds, 6 assists. That's about 12 rebounds and assists to go along with about 19 points. So we'll call it 31 PRA. We kind of slice that number in half. It's not an exact science. That's about 15.5 PRA per half, which is exactly where his line is set. 15.5 PRA per half given up by LA to shooting guards in the last 7 games. He needs 16. And he's not the only shooting guard on the team, by the way. So it might be tough. So limit this play. I'm not going to tell you not to take it because he has been hot lately, but the numbers are what they are, my friends. The numbers are what they are. Bane is a fade, says Jimmy. You don't have to fade it. You could, you could dabble with it. Just don't go too crazy with it. Mo, appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for the super chat coming through with the big soupy chat. He's saying, check out the first half fantasy score for the following players: Walker Kessler, Jakob Poeltl, Ivica Zubac, and our guy, Aquaman, that's what I call him, Steven Adams. All right, appreciate the super chat. Mo, let's go take a look. While we're talking some first half props here, we can take a look at some of the guys that you have mentioned here. And you're wanting to go fantasy score for all 4 of these big fellas. That's a big fella first half fantasy score line you're running, huh? Let's start with Walker Kessler. Walker Kessler's fantasy score is at 15.5 for the first half. You've also mentioned another one here, Jakob Poeltl. Let's go look at my man, Jakob. He's going to be taking on the next guy, Ivica Zubac, who's at 13.5 fantasy score. We're going to have to clear some of these off the board here. Boop. Let's remove some of these guys. All right. Ivica Zubac is at 13.5 first half fantasy score. So I'm guessing you're wanting to go more on all of these, right? And then Steven Adams was the other one. So let's pull up Steven Aquaman Adams. Shout out to Jason Momoa. You got yourself a stunt double if you ever need it, my friend. Steven Adams a little bit taller than Jason Momoa, but you get the drift. Anyway, Steven Adams at 14.5 first half fantasy score. Ivica Zubac at 13.5 first half fantasy score. Going up against Jakob Poeltl, who's at 15.5 first half fantasy score. And then we got Walker Kessler, who's going to be starting at center because we talked about Kelly Olynyk being out tonight for the Utah Jazz. Walker Kessler's been a force to be reckoned with. They're not really missing Rudy Gobert at this point, I don't think. All right, how do we want to start this? I guess we could start by looking at sort of the DVP while we got this DVP pulled up here, right? So we go center position. All of these guys, all 4 of them are centers. We'll start by looking at Walker Kessler, who is sitting at 15.5 first half fantasy score. He's taking on the Brooklyn Nets, which means Nick Claxton is going to be his matchup tonight. Big Nick Claxton. You thought I was going to say it, didn't you? You thought I was going to say it. No, Nick Claxton is the matchup for Walker Kessler. So let's take a look at the Brooklyn Nets over the last 7 games. Let's go find them here. Brooklyn giving up 51.5 fantasy score per game to opposing centers. Guys, that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot of fantasy points. But if you kind of take a look at where they rank, that is down toward the bottom, believe it or not. 51.5 is kind of low. 64.8 is the most. Given up to centers over the last 7 games when it comes to fantasy score. So Brooklyn's kind of like floating right in the middle of the pack. They're not giving up an ungodly amount of fantasy points, but they're also not giving up the fewest, which would be the Miami Heat, who's given up just 41.4 fantasy scores. So Walker Kessler, 15.5. Let's crack open his last 5 games. You can see he's at 4 out of 5. That's not too bad. We want to get a bigger sample size, though. Walker Kessler, first half FanDuel points without Kelly Olynyk logs. All right, We want to take Kelly Olynyk out and see how this young man's been performing in the first half. So his first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games without Kelly Olynyk, not so good. The last 4 games that he's played without Kelly O, he's been playing a lot better. 30.1 fantasy score, 28.2, 23, and 37, which is exactly what you see here in front of you on the prize pick screen. So Walker Kessler definitely been playing better basketball lately without Kelly Olynyk. So he's got some stinkers in there. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's all rainbows and unicorns. But I will tell you this, we've seen his minutes go up in the last 4 games. So he's had 13, 15, 16, and 17 minutes in the first half in his last 4 games. So game over game over game over game there, you've seen his minutes go up in his last 4 games. Minutes are obviously going to be a key for this guy to get close to hitting any of his fantasy props, right? If he's going to hit his fantasy score, he's going to need to be out on the court. And he is out on the court more than he was in some of these other games. Like this game where he finished with 9.6. He only played 12 minutes against Cleveland. And we know Cleveland's tough. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. He played Cleveland again here. 14 minutes, only had 9.6 fantasy score. So you got to kind of factor in who was the matchup, right? Some tough games there against the Cleveland Cavaliers where he underperformed. The other games where he underperformed, Detroit probably should have smashed in that one. What happened there? Well, it could have been foul trouble. Yeah, it says he had 4 personal fouls, so he was in some foul trouble in that game. Washington probably should have taken advantage. 16 minutes, only had 13.5 first half fantasy in that one. My guy just didn't get the job done. Point blank period. San Antonio against Jakob Poeltl had 12 minutes, only 3.4 fantasy points in that one. Another game where he got himself into some foul trouble. 4 personal fouls from what I'm seeing here. So, yeah, foul trouble against San Antonio, foul trouble against Detroit, bad matchups, tough matchups against the Cleveland Cavaliers. That kind of goes into why he went under in those first 5 games that he played without Kelly Olynyk. But as long as he keeps himself out of foul trouble, keeps his nose clean here, he's got a real chance probably of going over 15.5 first half fantasy score. Now, I don't have projections for first half props, but what we can do, it's not a perfect science, but what we can do is look at his full game fantasy score, which is 33.1. That's his projection, which would mean that his first half fantasy score of 15.5, if we take 33 and we divide it by 2, 33.1 and we divide it by 2. Let's do that. 16.55 fantasy score per half, roughly. Again, not a perfect science, not a perfect method to project what he'll have in the first half, but 16.5 per half. That's more than 15.5. So far, I would say yes, we should lean over on Walker Kessler's fantasy score. Now, what about the rest of these guys here? We got Jakob Poeltl of the San Antonio Spurs. He's going up against Ivica Zubac, couple of big-boned white boys here, Europeans. Locking horns tonight should be a lot of fun. Jakob Poeltl's at 15.5. Ivica Zubac is at 13.5. We talked about the Clippers being pretty much healthy, though. So when Ivica Zubac is in there and he's playing without Kawhi Leonard, playing without Paul George, playing without some of those high usage players, I like Zubac a little bit more. The only guys that are out tonight, though, are Luke Kennard and John Wall, which I don't think impacts Ivica Zubac all that much. So I would like this a little bit more if Leonard was out, if George was out, but, you know, such is life. They're going to be both expected to play tonight. Anyway, let's look at this matchup. San Antonio against opposing centers in the last 7 games, giving up the most fantasy points per game, 64.8 fantasy score per game. No other team in the last 7 games giving up more fantasy points than this team. And while we're here, we can take a look at the Los Angeles Clippers. Ivica Zubac and company, how many fantasy points are they giving up to opposing centers? 54.6, not too shabby, kind of puts them like smack dab right in the middle of the pack when it comes to fantasy points. Now, they are giving up 26.4 points per game which happens to be a pretty high number. That is the 6th most points to opposing center. So maybe you go Zubac for just his points instead of the fantasy score. But nonetheless, fantasy score, not a bad option if you wanted to go that route. So let's get you some projections on both of these guys here. And we're going to start with Ivica Zubac, kind of the same method that we used for Walker Kessler. I've got him at 28.78. So we go 28.78, we divide by 2. That's about 14.3 fantasy score per half, which is slightly more than the 13.5. So 28.78 divided by 2, and you get about 14.4 fantasy score per half. Obviously, 14.4 is more than 13.5. We need at least 13.6 from Zubac tonight. So what about Jakob Poeltl, his opponent? I got Poeltl at 32.68 fantasy score. So again, we take that 32.68, we divide by 2 to try to come up with a reasonable expectation of what Jakob Poeltl might land on as far as a first half fantasy score projection. 16.34. That again is slightly more than 15.5. We need at least 15.6 from Poeltl. So both of these look like overplays based on the projections provided by Fantasy Labs and their NBA models. All right. One last player to talk about, Steven Aquaman Adams, going up against the Los Angeles Lakers. We know that the Lakers have not been defending the center position very well this season, nor have they been defending it very well in the last 7 games, giving up 62.3 fantasy points per game to opposing centers in their last 7 games. That is the third highest fantasy score per game. So just a recap of the 4 players that we've discussed, Zubac and Adams are in the most favorable spots based on DVP, defense versus position, their opponents, and how many fantasy points they're giving up. Spurs giving up the first most, Lakers giving up the third most fantasy points per game to opposing centers. So Steven Adams, Mr. First Half, he does a really good job most of the time covering his first half fantasy props. You can see he's gone over in 4 out of his last 5. Let's get you a projection on Steven Adams and try to figure out how many we can expect from Aquaman. Now he's projected for 30.16. This one's probably going to be the closest of them all. So 30.16, we divide that by 2. That comes out to about 15.08 fantasy score per half. Again, not an exact science. It's the best we can do. All right. I don't have first half projections, unfortunately, but 15 fantasy score, that's more than 14.5. So if you're wanting to go with Steven Adams in a great matchup here against the Los Angeles Lakers, probably want to take him first half only. This would be the way to go. So there you go. There's your 4. All of them look like they could potentially go over. Again, your best matchups are going to be Steven Adams and Ivica Zubac. Again, I'm going to give a slight downgrade to Zubac, though, because the rest of the Clippers are expected to be healthy. So a slight downgrade to him. But according to the projections provided by Fantasy Labs, they all look like pretty solid plays for first half only. So there you go, Embo. Hopefully that helps you out, my friend. Let's go ahead and clear the deck here. And we got another super chat to get to. Ryan T's coming through. He says, do you know someone who can help like I do with hockey? Listen, if you want to join our Patreon, if you want to join our Discord group, it's just $20 a month. Again, it goes a long way in helping support the free content that I'm able to provide for you each and every day right here on YouTube. We've got a really sharp guy in there. His name's Effin Props Guy. You can also find him on Twitter. If you're not following him, you can follow him on Twitter. Shout out to Effin Props Guy, but he's really good with hockey. He follows hockey very closely. He's about the only person that I know and trust when it comes to hockey props. So give him a look. He's active on Twitter, but he's pretty darn active in our Discord too. He hangs out in there and talks NHL every single day. So appreciate all the new subscribers that we got. Jack Collins, James Fenner, William Bryant. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate all the love. Make sure you've hit that like button if you haven't yet. It goes a long way in helping us grow the channel, get the exposure that we need to continue to add new subscribers on YouTube. So appreciate all of you guys. All right. It is 1:19, getting close to that 1:30 mark. Slickwell says, did everything but the free throw hit in that Pistons game yesterday? Yes, everything hit but that. We went 5 for 6. We got all 5 picks right. The one that didn't hit was Killian Hayes in that free throw make. That is exactly what happened yesterday, Slick. Well, that is exactly what happened. NHL community and Discord is very active. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, pretty good though overall, Slick. Well, we can't be too mad. I got 5 out of 6 right. So, with that being said, I mean, I think we've covered all the super chats that came. Oh no, wait. John Badger, thank you for the super chat. We got one more super chat, and then I guess I'm gonna get out of here. John Badger, I can't believe I skipped over you. He says, "Hey chef, any thoughts on Wendell Carter Jr. points and assists?" Well, I love Wendell Carter Jr. As a Magic fan, he's one of my favorite players. I think he's probably the third best player on the team behind Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. Wendell Carter Jr. is the man. I love some Wendell Carter Jr. So let's take a look at Wendell Carter Jr. today. You're talking about his points and assists possibly. He's been a pretty good PRA guy as well. So lots of different ways to go with Wendell Carter Jr. We're still waiting on Franz Wagner news though. So before I go clicking anything or put Wendell Carter Jr. or the rest of this Orlando Magic, any of these other Orlando Magic props in my entries, I kind of want to wait and see what's going to happen with Franz Wagner. Is he in? Is he out? We don't know. But you did ask and you left us a sweet super chat for Wendell Carter Jr. And he's going up against Jonas Valanciunas and the New Orleans Pelicans, who are going to be without Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson. So they're going to be a little thin on that front court. Maybe Valanciunas has his hands full tonight against Wendell Carter Jr. So you're asking about his points, his assists, or maybe points and assists. Let's take a look at some Wendell Carter Jr. real quick. We're going to pull him up here on props.cash. We're going to go to points first and foremost. And 16.5 full game points. 16.5. He's 9 for 25. 36% hit rate. Has he played any games without Franz Wagner this season? Let me take a look at that. One game played without Franz Wagner this season where he had 13 points. So even if Franz sits out, Wendell Carter Jr. just did not perform very well in what was a favorable matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Only had 13 points against the Thunder in that game, despite playing over 30 minutes, 30.1 minutes in that one. So he does have one game in his game log where he's played without Franz Wagner. Did he hit his assists without Wagner? No, he did not. He only had one assist. So he went under on the assists without Wagner, under on the points without Wagner, which means he also went under on his points and assists without Franz Wagner with 14. Okay. So let's just say Franz Wagner plays. Let's go look at some of these hit rates. 9 for 25, 36% hit rate on the points. Again, not great. The assists, better hit rate there. 14 for 25. He's hit this in 4 out of his last 5 games. 2.5 dimes, so a little bit better when it comes to dropping dimes. 14 out of 25, 56% hit rate. And then what about when we combine the points and assists? 44% hit rate. Now, are you wanting to go over on this? You didn't really mention over or under, John Badger. So I'm not sure if you're wanting to go over or under, but so far, I mean, I'm not getting too excited about the over here. There ain't a whole lot to get excited about when it comes to the over on this particular play. The last 10 games on his points and assists at 18.5. He's only gone over this in 3 out of 10 games. So it's looking kind of sus, man. I don't know what you want me to say here. Let's go take a look here at the matchup. Centers, last 7 games versus this New Orleans Pelicans team. Pelicans giving up about 22.3 points along with 4.2 assists. So call that about 26 to 27 points and assists given up. My man Wendell needs at least 19 to get the job done. Yeah, I mean, I'm not excited about this as an overplay right now. Just not. It's not floating my boat. It's not tickling my fancy. It's not doing anything for me. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything that I love. Let's go and see what he did against New Orleans last season. 17 points in one game. 13 points in the other. All right, 1 for 2 on just the points. What about the points and assists? 20 and 18. So again, 1 for 2 on those. And what about just the assist on their own? He was 2 for 2. Okay. So I'm going to weed these other two out and say that this prop, his 2.5 assists, he's 2 for 2 against New Orleans going back to last season. Just the assists on their own has the highest hit rate out of the points or points and assists or just the assists. So, I mean, this would be the front runner for me. If you're looking to take the over on any of these props, I guess this one would be the one that I would take the over on if you're looking to go over. I'm assuming you're wanting to go over, John. And then let's get you a projection on Wendell. Let's just take a look at how the projections are lining up here. Projected for 2.8. That's closer to 3 dimes than 2. So I guess that's encouraging news. Talked about his points. Let's look at those real quick. 16.1 projected points. That's less than 16.5. At 16.5, he's being bet under to go under 16.5 points. And then the points plus assists, 18.5. He's actually a betting favorite to go over and projected to go over at 18.9. Combination of points and assists there. Minus 130, minus 135, even minus 125 implied odds to go over at 18.5 points plus assists. So there you go. Alex says, CJ, what happened to life is too short for the unders? That is still a thing, man. That is still a mantra. But in this case, Wendell Carter Jr. Has been going under more often than he's been going over. So I'm not sure which way John is wanting to go. He was looking at it for the over. Well, the over looks a little suspect to me, my friend. He was looking at it for the over. I guess looking at his assists by themselves, it looks better. Yeah, I mean, I might go that route. If you're wanting to take an over on Wendell Carter Jr., I would take the assists, I guess. But in general, I've just been avoiding the Magic because they're a pretty deep team. They got a lot of talent on that team, young talent, but talent. It's really hard from game to game to figure out who's going to be that dude from one game to the next. So I've just been avoiding Orlando. I would just tell you to fade Orlando. There's too many games, too many teams taking the floor tonight, too many different props for me to get too excited about anything on the Orlando Magic, unfortunately. So anyway, we are coming to a close here. I think somebody else left a super chat. It was Jeff Williams. Jeff, I don't know if you had a question attached with that. All I see is the super chat. I don't see a question from you, Jeff. Oh, well, maybe this was your question. Nicholas Claxton's PRA. Nick Claxton PRA. Let's look at that one for Jeff, since Jeff was so kind to leave that super chat for us. Let's go find Nicholas Claxton's points, rebounds, and assists. They're sitting at 25.5. Now for me, I'm going to tell you this. Nicholas Claxton, a.k.a. the human fly swatter. For me, I've been taking fantasy score more than anything else because he does have that shot blocking upside, that shot blocking potential. He's at 3.5 blocks plus steals. He's cleared this in 4 straight games, going up against a rookie tonight in Walker Kessler. So for me, I've been going more fantasy score on Claxton than anything. Now, he's cleared the fantasy score in 3 straight games, 3 out of his last 5 overall. He's also 3 out of his last 5 when it comes to the PRA. So let's take a look at both of those real quick. Nicholas Claxton's PRA projection, I have him at 25.7, which is just a hair over 25.5. I wish that number was a little bit bigger, the projection. But he is a slight betting favorite, minus 120 and minus 125 implied odds to go over 25.5 PRA. So that's one route that you could go. Now, if we wanted to go with the blocks and steals, something that he's very good at and been doing a good job with, we could take a look at a projection for those. Got him projected for 3 blocks plus steals. We call those stocks where I'm from. Now, I will tell you this. On BetMGM, he is a minus 145 betting favorite to go over 3.5 blocks and steals. So the projections got him going under, but there's some pretty heavy juice on the over at 3.5. So that's another way that you could play Nicholas Claxton tonight. And then last but not least, we mentioned the fantasy score, which he has hit in his last 3 games. We could also look at the DVP here. How the Utah Jazz have been doing in the last 7. 57.5 fantasy points per game to opposing centers in the last 7 games. That's going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th most fantasy points to centers amongst all NBA teams in the last 7 games. So they're giving up a pretty healthy amount of steals at 1.8 per game, a pretty healthy amount of blocks at 1.8 per game. So this could be a situation where my man Nicholas Claxton has himself a good fantasy performance tonight. So let's get you a projection on Claxton and his fantasy score. Again, if you're going to use projections like I am, make sure you're using FanDuel projections. FanDuel projections, Yahoo Fantasy Basketball projections, and PrizePicks for fantasy are all the same. They use the same scoring, all 3 sites. FanDuel, Yahoo, PrizePicks, it's all the same. But 35.6 is where I have him projected today for his fantasy score. He has a ceiling of 46.69, so that's kind of giving you if everything goes right sort of situation. He can reach somewhere around 46, 47 fantasy points tonight, which we've seen him do, right? 41.6 against OKC, 46.2 against San Antonio, and 48.7 against Phoenix just last night. This is a back-to-back for Nicholas Claxton. So pretty tough when it comes to the projection, 35.6 versus the 36.5. So there you go. There's a little rundown for you, my friend Jeff. In case you were wondering about Nicholas Claxton, you could go PRA, fantasy score, blocks, and steals. He should be in for a pretty decent night going up against a rookie in Walker Kessler. Is Curry playing tonight? Yeah, Curry should be playing, but it looks like Klay Thompson's expected to sit out. MIA Straw Hat says Jakob Poeltl's first half fantasy points have a 9 out of 10 hit rate. There you go. Kenneth Palmer, how about Poeltl for first half points? Could be a good look. Could be definitely a good look. Jalen Brunson, big timer. Yeah, he's been balling. Jalen Brunson's been balling out. You could possibly look Jalen Brunson's way tonight against the Atlanta Hawks, unless they put DeJounte Murray on Brunson. DeJounte's a pretty tough little defender in his own right, so that could pose a problem for Jalen Brunson if they put DeJounte Murray on him. Let's look at some Jalen Brunson real quick as we reach the end of the show here, as we look to wrap things up. I got Jalen Brunson's points and assists projection at 31.8. He's sitting at 32.5 out on your favorite sports books, but we're seeing some odds over, some odds under. It seems like the betting public is all over the place with this New York Knicks point guard. You guys are saying that the Golden State Warriors have all been ruled out. All the starters have been ruled out. I don't have confirmation yet through RotoWire of that. I see Klay Thompson is the only one, but maybe some breaking news just came out. So, yep, Ride Post saying no Klay, no Curry, no Wiggins, no Green. Awesome. Kenneth, thank you. Appreciate you loving the show. Thank you for shouting me out, man. I love that. All right, so none of the Warriors vets are playing tonight on a back-to-back. Cleveland's probably going to mop the floor with them. They probably don't even need Donovan Mitchell, right? They don't even need Donovan Mitchell. Anyway, shout out once again to our free 2-pick winner. That is Emerson's Baby Gap shirt. Guys, if you want to get your hands on a risk-free 2-pick power play on PrizePicks, I'm giving them out every single day. I don't do shows on the weekend, so this will be Monday. So what you want to do, be a subscriber, hit the like button. Once I end today's show, the replay gets posted to YouTube. Go to the comment section, comment your favorite pick, your favorite prop of the day. I'll select somebody from the comment section on Monday morning, Monday's show. And I'll keep giving these free 2-pick power plays away to try to put some extra money in your pockets on PrizePicks. So appreciate everybody. Guys, I'm getting out of here. Good luck on all your entries tonight. If you're in Patreon and Discord, we're going to be chopping it up, talking props all day long. I'll post some stuff for you guys later, all right? Peace out.